Hi, dear students. Nowadays, when we look into the Middle Eastern nations like UAE, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar, and so on, we will be able to see plenty of skyscrapers, big buildings being built in the desert itself. It's all because of the humongous effort that is made by human beings there. When we look into our premises itself, we will be able to realize that there are plenty of changes that occurs around us, like building new roads, new highways, new schools, and different types of changes are going all around. And in this chapter, we are going to study about the changes that occurs in our earth. The name of the chapter is Our Changing Earth, and the changes that occurs in our earth due to the naturally itself, not man-made differences that we see today. As you may know, the sea level is rising year by year. Many floods are occurring, tsunamis are occurring, volcanic eruption is occurring. So many problems, and also there are plenty of changes are going all around the world. Same way, we are going to study about those changes. Those changes that occurs all around us, we need to know why these changes are occurring. So, when we take our earth, the earth's crust or the inside portion consists of several large and small, rigid, irregularly shaped plates which carry continents and the ocean floor, called as lithospheric plates. So, inside the portion of our Earth, there is a plate, a carrying plate, and those plates are called as lithospheric plates. They may be large, they may be small, but they are with those things which carries the continents and the ocean floor. Okay. These plates move around very slowly, just a few millimeters each year, because of the movement of the molten magma inside the earth. So there is molten magma. You have already heard about this lava that comes from the volcano, right? So there is molten magma inside our earth, and because of that movement of molten magma, their plates are moving all around very slowly, just a few millimeters each year. So, Earth movements are divided on the basis of the forces which causes them. We already spoke about the movements that goes on the Earth, that occurs on the Earth, and based upon based upon the forces, they are divided into two. First one is endogenic forces, the second one is exogenic forces. Forces which act in the interior of the earth or the inner part of the earth are called as endogenic forces. Next one is exogenic forces. Forces that work on the surface of the earth or the outer portion of the earth are called as exogenic forces. This picture represents the earth movements, different types of forces that causes the earth movements. That's already in your chapter itself, endogenic and exogenic forces. So we can go deep inside endogenic forces and what all things are occurring due to endogenic forces. The changes that occurs all around the world, all around the earth because of endogenic forces. Endo means inside. Endo means inside. Genic means origin. So originated from the inside. Endogenic forces sometimes produce sudden movements and at the other times produce slow movements. Sometimes there will be sudden movements and sometimes there will be slow movements. Sudden movements like earthquakes and volcanoes cause mass destruction over the surface of the earth. Already you might have heard about this natural phenomenon like earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. And all these kinds of movements are occur due to the endogenic forces, the sudden movements in endogenic forces. So next we are going to study about volcano. So, a volcano is an opening in the Earth's crust through which molten material erupts suddenly. A volcano is almost shaped like a mountain, and inside that there will be boiling or molten magma, and it will become, if it is due to several movements, endogenic forces, it will be coming outside to the world in the form of lava. In this image, you will be able to see a volcanic eruption going on. So the next movement in on Earth due to these endogenic forces that we are going to study here is the earthquake. When we have already spoken about the lithospheric plates, right? So when the lithospheric plates move, the surface of the earth vibrates. When that plates move, suppose think that a ball is kept in your hand, and if your hand is moving the same way, that ball will also be moved, right? So in that way, when the lithospheric plates move, the surface of the earth vibrates, which can travel all around the earth. There will be huge vibration, okay, when sudden movement is there. Like that, when we keep a ball in our hand, and when if we move our hand, try to move our hand, the ball will be vibrating and it will be moving. This vibration that goes all around the earth and makes massive destructions or problems are called as earthquakes or shaking in the earth. Earthquakes are measured with machines called as seismograph. The machines used to measure the magnitude of earthquakes are called as seismograph, and the scale. When we measure our weight with a weighing machine, we will be measuring that weight in kilogram, right? The same way, when we are measuring the weight, the power or the magnitude of earthquakes, a machine known as seismograph is used, and the magnitude, like same way the kilogram, magnitude is measured in a scale known as Richter scale. There are normally four types of earthquakes, and if the Richter scale denotes 2.0, the earthquake will be less effective, and if it is above 5.0, it can cause damage by things falling apart, because already last year when in our state itself there were several earthquakes, and that counts in 5.0. And if that scale magnitude goes beyond 6.0, the earthquake will be severe, very strong, and there can even occur deaths there. And 7.0 is a major earthquake. That earthquake will make drastic amount of changes in the place that occurred that earthquake. In our chapter itself, we have noted down there what are all the safety measures that we need to beware to avoid injury in earthquakes. I'm not going to deal that. Read that well and write it down and share it to me. We have already said that in Richter scale, the magnitude of earthquake is measured. In this image, you will be able to see an earthquake occurred in Alaska in 2018, which was recorded 7.0 in Richter scale. See the destruction that occurred there. The whole road is destroyed by the earthquake. Okay. We dealt with endogenic forces, and now we are going to study about exogenic forces. Exogenic forces, as the definition itself means, the forces which is originated outside the earth. And these exogenic forces are really important, okay? It's because all the vegetative things, all the natural phenomena, the geographical things that we see all around, especially the land, the fertile land, the clay, different types of soil, the seashore, different deltas, everything is made by these exogenic forces. The landscape is being continuously worn away by two processes. You might have seen several places, like in the southern places of India, there will be growing more vegetative things like fruits, vegetables, grains like rice and so on. But in several places, there will be growing barley, wheat, malta and so on. And in our northeast places, we will be able to see different types of fruits like kiwi, uh, apple, and so on. It's all because of the type of climate and also the soil there. And this soil and the landscape is made in this way because of two process, and the first one is weathering. Weathering means breaking of the rocks on earth's surface, because all the sand we see today might have originated from the breaking of rock on earth's surface. The next thing is erosion. You might have seen landslide, and the other thing is erosion, wearing away of the landscape by different agents like water, wind, and ice. If a flood occurs in a different place, the topsoil will be washed away to another place by the water. If there is a big air there, wind there, the topsoil will be transported. And in the same way also, ice also results in changing of major landscape. Okay. So from this slide onwards, we are speaking about how a river changes the landscape. Okay, so you have seen, you might have seen a river in your life, and running water in the river causes erosion in the landscape. If a water is going around, there will be change. Normally, if we pump a pipe of water, there will be change in the sand there. The same way, if a river is going through a certain place for thousands of years, there will be natural changes and phenomena occurring there. The same way, when river rolls at steep angle over hard rocks or down a valley, it forms a waterfall. Suppose think that the river is diverted to a steep angle, a high angle over hard rocks or towards a valley, then there will be a waterfall will be made. After waterfall, now we are going to study about three other changes in natural world that occurs due to the flow of water in rivers. The first one is meanders. Meanders are those large bends or curves formed after the river enters the plain and by its twists and turns there. If a river flows, river will be, if there is a rock, if there is a high area, the river will be, because the movement of liquid is very smooth, and that river will be going in with twists and turns, and those large bends formed after the river entering there is called as meanders. The next thing is oxbow lake or cut off lake. If a river is going through a meander, a different lake will be created over time. For it will take more time, but still, due to continuous erosion, if water is going there, the small portions of the side of the meander will be will be put down by the river itself, and it will pave way or give way to a different small lake. That lake is called as oxbow lake or cut off lake. And if that oxbow lake is overflown, that will result in flood in different neighboring areas. If that flood goes on, that flood will deposit or give fine soil, good soil, and other material called as sediments. Because if water is flowing from one place to another, it will be carrying many things like different types of soil, sand, different types of plants, animal, even fish and other animals will be even transported there. By that way, if a flood occurs there, the fine soil and other materials called as sediments will be formed to a flat fertile floodplain. And those raised banks are called as levees, where there will be flat fertile floodplain, because good water content soil will be there, that will be fertile and we will be able to cultivate there. and those raised high banks are called as levees. In this image, you will be able to see a big river coming from this side, the right side of that image, and diverting into different small streams. And this breaking of rivers into a number of streams while flowing is called as distributaries. In simpler way, we can say that if a river flows, it will diverge into different small rivers, and they are called as distributaries. Each distributary form its own mouth because there will be an opening there, and the collection from all the mouth, because when water goes all around these places, this place will be called, where all this collection comes, are called as a delta. So the next topic that we are going to say is about how sea waves makes changes in our earth. We already dealt with river, and now we are going to say about sea waves. The erosion and deposition of the sea waves give rise to coastal landforms. Those coastal areas is all made because of the erosion and deposition of the sea. The good soil, other things that will be coming from the waves will be deposited in several places, and there will be coastal landforms. Due to sea waves, hollow caves are formed on the rocks. They are called as sea caves. Think that there is a big rock in the sea, and if the wave comes continuously, there will be hollow means a hole. A cave will be formed. A hole will be formed on the rock itself, and they are called as sea caves. And if that holes or hollow caves become bigger in size, only the roof of the caves remains. Every other portion of that cave is penetrated by the water, and only the roof of cave is remaining, and that is called as sea arches. And if the erosion goes on, continues, and it further breaks the roof and only walls are left. First there were this big rock and there is a small hole, and it is called a sea cave. Then only the roof is remaining, it is called a sea arches. And if even the roof is removed and only walls are there, it is called as stacks. And this steepy rock course rising almost vertical above the sea water is called as sea cliff. Only if there is a single rock arise vertically or erectically there in the water, it is called as sea cliff. This image portrays a sea cave because there is a big rock is there, and the hole that is made here is because of the sea water, and it is an example for a sea cave. Here you will be able to see a stack, because all other there, even this portion where you are seeing water here was a big rock, and that big rock, even the rooftop is washed away or penetrated by the water, and the only a big rock is remaining. It is called as a stack. Now we are going to study how ice makes changes in our landscape. The only and the main change that ice causes in our landscape is the glaciers. Glaciers are rivers of ice which erode the landscape by bulldozing or accumulating soil and stone to expose the solid rocks below. If you have seen a glacier, it is a river full of ice. Keep in mind, okay, which have made there because of coming of soil and stone, where in the upper portion there will be fully of water of ice, river of ice, but in the below portion there will be solid rocks. The material carried by the glaciers, such as big and small rock, sand and silt, get deposited. These deposits form glacial moraines. The glaciers will be carrying the water of glacier, because we have already said that they are rivers of ice. Okay, that rivers of ice carry small rocks, sand, and even silt, and that got deposited in a certain place. These places where ice are deposited are called as glacial moraines. In this image, you will be able to see a glacier which is there in the Antarctic region. So now we are going to speak about the final topic, how winds are making changes in the landscape. Okay, so work of winds. An active agent of erosion and deposition in the deserts is wind. The main work area of wind are in deserts. It makes rocks in shape of a mushroom called mushroom rocks. That erosion, if there is a sand there, if the wind comes there, that sand will be eroded away and deposited in other places. And it is all done by wind. When the wind stops blowing, the sand falls and get deposited in low hill-like structures. These are called as sand dunes. If there is a huge wind, or we might have seen, because if there is a huge wind, the soil deposited in our places will be flying along with that wind. And in the same way, in the deserts, if that wind stops blowing, that sand which is carried by that wind will be deposited in low hill-like structures, and these are called as sand dunes. If the grains of sand is very fine and lightweight, the wind will be able to carry that for a long distance, and that sand deposit in large areas, not in the like of sand dunes. Okay, in large areas is called as loss. So we have already said about these mushroom rocks. This is an example of a mushroom rock in a desert region. And this mushroom rock is made by not by a man or any artist in the world. It's all made by the wind alone. We are going to study about the last topic. It is called sand dunes. Air, if there is a soil there, air will be transporting that soil in desert, and that will be accumulated or spread all around in places in deserts in this asymmetrical way. You will be able to see in almost like a lines there in that desert, and that all is made by winds, and that portion is called as sand dunes. Okay, the chapter is wholly about many facts, and I feel like you are able to digest the ideas well. If you have any doubt, please feel free to ask. Nobody is asking doubts nowadays, and if you encounters any type of doubt regarding your chapter, please feel free to ask. Okay, thank you.